Now, Vol for Life 42 hit us up. And, the username itself should tell you quite a bit. He asks, did Nico impress versus the Iowa defense enough for you to buy stock? Vol for Life 42, just to be honest with you, I'd already bought stock in Tennessee with Nico. And that's not me dismissing your question. That's not at all what I'm trying to say here. I just mean with his skill set, with him being the number one player for us here at On3 in the country in the class of 2023, it's just a matter of time until he gets comfortable and does really good things in Knoxville. Now, again, the matter of time part of this is crucial. What we saw in that bowl game was a tremendous data point. We've said it on here several times. I'm going to say it again. What we saw was awesome. It should excite you. It excited me as a college football fan, seeing what he was doing in that bowl game as a true freshman, his first start ever. The tools are obvious. But with that one data point, it's going to be a chart here that we track for the entirety of his career, and there's going to be dots all over that first starting point. Some will be lower, some will be higher. It was great. It was really, really good, but it's going to be a long game for him to ultimately achieve what he's capable of. The thing that I think excites me, on top of his poise and the fact that he handled himself the way he didn't make any, crucial mistakes in turning the football over, what he brings to the table as an athlete running the football. One, I think it's going to serve him well early on in his career and allow him to maybe get away with some things that less mobile quarterbacks couldn't. But it adds another level to Josh Heupel's offense. You saw it some with Hendon Hooker with how good of an athlete he was running the football. Joe Milton has a different kind of athleticism and threat he brings running the football with his size. But with Nico, I think he's got enough make you miss to him, similar to Hendon Hooker. I think he's got some really good escapability as well. But what I'm trying to say here is the Josh Heupel offense is built on straining the third and second level of a defense because they spread you all the way out. They make your safeties have to decide if they want to play the run or play the pass. Does your linebacker or overhang player want to try and play that slot receiver or add in on our run game? And adding a quarterback run element to it just provides another thing for that second and third level of the defense to have to worry about, especially on those, RPOs or on the read option kind of plays. Whenever you take the front out of it, in theory, with reading them, it's going to make defenses very, very frustrated. It's going to allow for Tennessee to continue to be extremely potent. And so I think that the ultimate thought for me here around Nico is as he progresses, one, he'll have multiple years to do it. So that's encouraging. You have some continuity there under Josh Heupel. On top of that, from his skill set, I think you have a quarterback that is not going to be held back by any physical capabilities to running Josh Heupel's offense. And Joe Milton had a ton of physical ability. He wasn't as consistent of a passer as I think Tennessee fans would have liked to see. I don't think Nico will have that same problem. And that's not me throwing shade at Joe Milton. I think it's just speaking volumes to the kind of player that Nico Iamaleava is. Like, he's that kind of gifted when it comes to his physical tools. So the growth, it will not be a straight line. Like what he saw in that bowl game will be very different than when he goes and plays at Georgia between the hedges. It'll be a different atmosphere. It'll be a different level of athleticism defensively. Give him some time. But to answer your question, I had already bought stock even if Nico went out there and threw 2 picks because of the tools, because of the system around him, and because of, quite frankly, the way that Josh Heupel works with quarterbacks. The fact that he got to sit this year, I want to make sure we make this point before we move on here. There's going to be a lot of people that are saying, well, Nico should have been the guy from the jump. It's easy to say that after you saw what he did against the Iowa defense. But again, that was a neutral site, that was in a bowl game, and that was in a spot where there wasn't as much of a, book out on who Nico is. If you gave Nico the keys from game one throughout the course of the season, you risk more than I think you gain. Because what you do as a true freshman is learn college football for the most part, to be honest. Nico being able to sit behind Joe Milton, see how he does things, get comfortable in college, get comfortable in this offense. If he was the best guy for the job, I have a hard time believing that Josh Heupel wouldn't have made him the guy for the job. Like, I don't think Joe Milton was just gifted this job because he was, a 6-year senior. He was given the job because he was the best player available for the position. And if that had changed at any point during the season, they would have made that change. So going back to what I said about Nico, as a true freshman, there is the potential to, again, have more risk than reward by playing. And what I mean by that is if Nico were to go out there and have some struggles, he doesn't have a ton of experience to fall back on. So what happens? Bruise your confidence, and that's a tough pit to dig out of. You potentially develop some bad habits, and that's something that stretches on probably throughout the course of this season, if not your career. It's ultimately stunting your growth. So letting him sit behind a guy like Joe Milton, see how he runs this offense, heck, see how he carries himself, see how he responds to adversity, I think that does a lot for him as a player, will do a lot for him in the long term, and do a lot for Tennessee in the long run. So we're buying stock in Nico. You better believe it. And not just from that bowl game. We believe Nico's going to be a stud for a long time there. Hey, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.